Okay, so it's been a year since I have been on the prescription antidepressant prescription drug Zoloft, and I think it's about time to get into why I needed to take Zoloft and why I had to seek help for my depression, because I know a lot of times I label my depression as postpartum depression, and that's because the pregnancy that I had in 2019 was the breaking straw of my psyche. Like my mental just could not take anymore after I got pregnant. But the onset of my depression was 2018 when I graduated college. I remember picking up my regalia and I tried it on. I just tried on the cap and the gown, and I took a photo of myself. I asked my daughter. I said, "Hey, take a picture of me in my regalia," and she did. And I looked at the photo and I posted it on Facebook, and I said something to the effect of, "Putting this on brings back memories of, or it's giving me flashbacks of being." What was it? I had to look at it. Flashbacks of disappointment, shame, hurt, and just a lot of emotions that I was feeling. And I did mention in that post that a lot of people didn't know that I was homeless a lot. After I had my oldest daughter, my mom had kicked me out of the house because I had gotten pregnant, because as a result of a teenage pregnancy, she thought the best thing to do was to put me out and have me figure it out. Okay, so for a lot of my teenage years, I was homeless I was a homeless single mom. So I mentioned that in the post, and then I mentioned that those feelings just are resurfacing, and I'm feeling weird. I remember mentioning that, and I posted it, but I said I can't. You know what? I'm going to find that post, and then I'll just do a voiceover.
Here's the photo that I'm speaking of. Feel free to pause the video, read the caption if you like.
Of whatever it was that I said, so that way you all can understand. So that was in 2018. So that was the onset of postpartum, not postpartum, but post-traumatic stress syndrome. PTSD. That was the onset of PTSD from the trauma that happened during my childhood. So in my childhood, there was experiences with incestual rape. There was experience with a lot of physical abuse. My mom was very physically abusive. She's very verbally and mentally abusive. And those things, and then also dealing with homelessness as a teenager, and also as a single mom, a teenage mom. That was also something that kind of triggered. All these feelings started to surface. I was starting to feel weird. My chest started to hurt a lot. Like I was starting to, I don't know if you can imagine, like, go within yourself and just like, I felt like I was in a sunken place. Like I was no longer able to be expressive, able to talk, able to go out, have fun with my friends. I started to cocoon myself and just like kind of fall back and take a back seat and fall into a helplessness type of place. Hopefully I'm explaining it right. But that's what it felt like. Like I just felt like, I don't know. I can't explain it. How can I explain it? Okay, let's see. How can I explain it? Like, I felt like I was back at that same spot again, like graduating high school and I didn't even go to my own high school graduation because I wasn't living with my mom at the time. I think I may have been living with a member of the cult that I was in. A very nice woman had took me in for a while, took me and my oldest daughter in for a while. I believe I was living with her. And then I was a very antisocial person. I believe I was only antisocial because I had gotten beaten so much that it just caused me to just be quiet and just sit back and just keep to myself and just be more observant of things instead of trying to interact with things or having too much to say so that way I wouldn't be beaten. That the beatings caused me to have a shift in my personality. I remember that I decided one day that I just wouldn't talk anymore. I would be quiet, I wouldn't do anything, and I would just sit here and wait till I turn 18, and then I'll be free. I reverted back to those feelings, and it was just triggered because I was graduating college, and it made me feel about when I was graduating high school, and I was like, man, this is weird. Not sure why I'm feeling like this, but this is an exciting moment, but it just went all downhill from there. I love to dress up. I love to go shopping. I remember I started shopping for a dress to wear to my commencement, but then I stopped. I invited some people, but then I told them don't worry about it. I never sent the ticket, and so I never made it to my commencement for college. So I know maybe sometimes y'all hear me say, yeah, I graduated college, I got a degree. You don't see any photos. I didn't make it. I was falling into a depression. So that was the onset in 2018. Leading up to 2019, going into 2019, I'm looking for a job. I'm a recent, college graduate. I'm looking for a job. Atlanta looking for work with the degree that I earned, and it's not really going well. I haven't sought any help for the depression that resurfaced, or the post-traumatic stress that resurfaced, and I'm just kind of like not really understanding why I'm feeling this way, but not seeking help, because at this point, I've done a lot of work on myself. I understood that there was some past traumas. I understood that my mother would never take ownership of her role in the things that happened. And I came to terms with that. And I came to terms that my mom, she's just never going to take ownership for her role in the situation, and I came to terms with that. I decided to forgive her. I decided to forgive myself. I started reading books to help me become a better person. I started reading books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because I wanted to start building financial wealth. My mom was the only person out of 9 children to graduate college and move out of the hood. We stayed in a suburb. We did grow up in a suburban area. That she did manage to do, but she still had those other traumas which she passed on and to me and her other children. But she did manage to escape some form of poverty. And I wanted to build upon the skills that I did take from her, and I observed from her. So I wanted to better manage money. So I got into money management. I started reading books like Robert Greene, How to Get Along with Anyone, or something like that, How to Make Friends with Anyone. because I realized that I was lacking social skills because I had decided not to no longer talk. There was a point where there was many years where I no longer talked anymore. I had nothing to say. So yeah, I was working on my social skills. I was working on money management. I was listening to a lot of Neville Goddard. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Neville Goddard, but he is a teacher of manifestation. So I was working in the realm of manifestation in a way where it can also align with my beliefs of Christianity. So I was working with that. I was also working with like posting affirmations on my wall. Like at one point I had a whole wall full of I ams. Like I am worthy, I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am wise. Yeah, I just had a whole wall full of I ams. And I made goals. I had set like a goals for the year. And I mean, I was knocking these goals out. It got to the point where I had amassed $20,000 worth of credit. And I did that with just starting with a secured credit card. I was managing my credit so well that I amassed $20,000 worth of credit. I had a $20,000 credit line. Combined with all my credit cards, all of them combined, I had a total of $20,000 of credit. I had saved $15,000 cash because I was in the process of purchasing my own home. I was going to be the first homeowner in my immediate family. And well, I am going to be the first homeowner because that's what it's looking like. But at that point, I was more in position. I had $15,000 saved. I had amassed a pretty substantial credit line for somebody that was coming from no credit. And I had wanted to start a YouTube channel, but I was like iffy on the editing. I was like, I don't know how to edit. I need somebody to edit. I had excuses, but I did want to start a YouTube channel. That was on the list. Get my degree. I had got my degree. I finished college. I did that. That was on the list. And yeah, so and then I was working into real estate investing, and I was actually found a mentor, and I had a mentor. I was paying like $1,000 a month for this guy to mentor me on how to wholesale houses or something like that. So all of this is going on, and I still haven't sought any help for my post-traumatic stress because I feel like I got a good handle on it. I'm handling it myself. But in all actuality, I was not. I was just kind of just sailing by. And then also, I had read some books about like how to stop being so anxious. So there's one book that I always suggest is The Presence Process. I read that book, and I also started building a very stronger relationship with God. So, and I was at a point where I could start back. I felt like I was in God's good graces. I could start hearing the Holy Spirit, you know, like, and when I say that, it's like when you hear a voice that tells you, hey, don't turn this way, and you don't turn that way, and you get home and come to find out, like, there was an accident right on that street, right around the time that you were getting ready to turn there. But the spirit, you know, your spirit told you to turn this way. So I had got into a place where things were calming within me, and I could now hear the Holy Spirit, and I felt more connected with God, and I felt more connected with myself. So yeah, I didn't seek any help. So I'm still looking for a job, right? Still looking for a job. I decide in the meantime, while I'm looking for a job that I'm going to be happy with, I'm just going to work at the strip club because I've never done it before. I'm getting older, and this is an experience that I'd like to have. Yeah. 2019, I get pregnant with Royalty. I meet Royalty's dad. He's a rapper, or an aspiring rapper. Sips tea. This is coffee, but still. And yeah, I end up kind of like a 1-2 night stand, ended up getting pregnant with royalty. Not all downhill from there. All downhill from there. I'm kicking it with royalty's dad. Before I even knew I was pregnant, I might have been hanging with him. I've been hanging with him for 2 weeks straight, and I find out that he has 3 children already. And I say, hey, you've been kicking it with me for 3 weeks straight, and I've never seen you call your children. And he's like one of those type of guys that's real clingy, likes to make you feel like you're in a relationship. He tried to make me feel like we were in a relationship as soon as he decided that he liked me, and introduced me to his mom and his aunt, and got me on his socials, and just one of those type of guys where if you're one of those girls that thinks that he loves you because he did all of that right away, you're gonna fall hard, because he's very charismatic. He's one of those type of guys. So he likes to make you feel comfortable very quickly. So I'm hanging with her dad, and I say, hey, you got 3 kids. I ain't seen none of your kids come over your house. You've been kicking it with me. When do you spend time with your kids? Like, what about your kids? Like, what type of father are you? And he said, my lifestyle is not conducive to be having kids around. Which, he was not lying. He was living a lifestyle that you don't need to have kids around. But I'm like, translation, you don't take care of your kids. Oh, okay, bet. So I'm like, yo, let me go to the clinic, make sure I'm straight, because I'm done talking to this dude. I go to the clinic, I make sure I'm straight. I go to the clinic, get tested, I'm straight. The lady says, do you want to get tested for pregnancy? I say no. I'm not worried about that. I don't need to get tested for pregnancy, just everything else. Get tested for everything else, everything comes back negative, I'm straight, okay. I'm good to go. So I'm driving back to the house. So I throw his mixtape out on 90 going west. I frisbeed the mixtape out the car and put him on the block list, because we don't have nothing else to talk about. You're a deadbeat dad. Just to find out 2 weeks later that I am pregnant. I'm pregnant with royalty. And I have to keep the baby because I've had an abortion before. I've had one, and it did something to me to the point where I decided that I made a promise to God, if I ever got pregnant again, I would never do that. I can't do it. It's not something that I can repeatedly do. I don't judge anybody that just, there's people I know that just get them back to back. I'm not that one. So I had to keep that promise that I made to God. I ended up, I wanted, royalty's here. I wanted her anyway. I kept that promise, and I wanted her, definitely not the way that I had her. I definitely thought that I would be married and it would happen differently, but I had royalty. And but before we get to the part that I had her, the thing is during my pregnancy, I found out that her father had another female pregnant. She was probably about 5 months pregnant before me. So royalty has a sister they're about 5-6 months apart. So yeah, that came about, and there was a issue because she thought that she was the girlfriend. She thought that she was the girlfriend and whatever, what have you. So there was the issue there, and then she was kind of trying to keep him away because she was pregnant. Then she ended up moving in with him. Her and her other children ended up moving in with him, and he was trying to move in with me and just have her at his house. So he was being messy, and I'm a little bit older in age, so I'm kind of like high risk in the pregnancy. I've already experienced a lot of miscarriages. I really want to have this child. So I kind of shut him out during the pregnancy because I cannot take the stress. I'm already dealing with my oldest daughter, who was being very rebellious at the time, very much rebellious. Those high school years, the ending high school years, it was a very rough time with her. And I couldn't take the added stress of dealing with him and his other baby mamas. So I decided to just shut him out. I said, hey, I can't take the stress, and I'm trying to have a healthy pregnancy. I'm not about to deal with you. Like, he was asking to borrow money. It was crazy. So on top of that, not having the support from the father, having to deal with the other women involved with him, and my oldest daughter being very rebellious, I was robbed at gunpoint. 6 months pregnant, I'm robbed at gunpoint. Two black guys robbed me. It was in November of 2019. Two guys, or was it 2018? November 2019. Two guys robbed me at gunpoint outside of my house. They got away with my Christmas bonus. It was like a $500 cash bonus that I had got from work, and my credit cards, my ID, and I just remembered, like, I'm not really a bag person, but I had this one Patricia Nash bag. It was all black leather, very nice leather. If you guys know Patricia Nash, it's a very good leather. She makes good leather bags. And most of the time they're ugly, but this one was like plain black leather wristlet, very nice. And I had spent probably like $200 on it, and I had been carrying it for a while now. And yeah, I was like, I remember going back and forth with the guys when they grabbed me and was like, give me your bag. I was like, no, because I was thinking I'm gonna have to get a new ID. I'm gonna have to get a new social security card. I'm gonna have to cancel all my credit cards, get new credit cards. I'm gonna have to get a new debit card. I wasn't even worried about the cash. I was just like, kind of want to be like, can y'all just take the cash and leave me my bag? But, and then I was looking around. It was like an out of body experience. I couldn't believe it was happening. I was looking around like, where's everybody else in the apartment while I'm getting robbed? It was quiet out. The air was still. It was cold outside, but it was just like the air was still. It was quiet outside. It was dark outside, very dark that night. And the guy just had the gun to my head, and then my gun was in the house. Well, it wasn't even the house. I went in the house to get my gun just to find out it was missing. My oldest daughter did something with my gun. I had to report my gun stolen. I had to report that I got robbed. It was too much. I was breaking down. And then my oldest daughter, I ended up sending her to Ohio with my mom. I said, you gotta go. And after the robbery, I called Royalty's dad and I said, hey, I've been robbed. And he didn't come. I remember that he didn't come, so I didn't feel safe. I lost a lot of respect for him. Any respect that I had left for him, I lost it. And that was almost like a breaking point. I was also dealing with hyperemesis. I was just so sick. I was so sick when I was pregnant with her. I always was in the hospital because I was dehydrated. And yeah, y'all. That is what led to me being on the antidepressants. I ended up moving to Ohio. I ended up leaving that apartment in January. I got robbed in November. I left the apartment in January and just moved to Ohio with my mom. My mom said, well, just come up here with me. I moved up to Ohio with her so I could just have no responsibilities and relax and just eventually have a healthy baby and just try to have a healthy pregnancy. And there's a lot more to the story. This is not where the story ends, but this is where I'm going to end the video. I just wanted to just get that out there. I felt like I'm at a place where I'm able to talk about how I ended up on those antidepressants, and I'm no longer taking them because that's the decision that I made. It's been a year. That's not something I want to be dependent on, and I decided I'm not taking them anymore. So I will say that I am still seeing a therapist and the counselor, not a therapist. I'm seeing a counselor. So I am still seeing my counselor, and the tips and tricks that she gives me to help manage stress, maybe I'll bring them onto the vlog and we can get into that it might be useful to you all. But yeah, this is just a quick update that I am no longer taking a Zoloft, and what led up to the point of me needing to be on the Zoloft. And yeah, make sure you all like, make sure you comment. Well, you can comment, and if you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe. And until next time, y'all be easy, because it's definitely been real today. Peace.